There is a particular kind of person who has tried to change and failed so many times that they have quietly concluded change is not possible for them. They have made the promises, bought the books, sworn the oath on the 1st of January, and every time, after a week, a month, a season, they find themselves standing in the exact place they started, holding the same self they were trying to leave behind. Eventually, they stop trying and they tell themselves a story to make the surrender bearable. This is just who I am. The story is a lie, but it is a comfortable lie, because if you cannot change, then you are not responsible for failing too. You never have to attempt the most difficult thing a human being can attempt, which is to become someone other than who they have been. The ancient world had a word for the kind of change that actually matters. The Greeks called it metanoia. It is usually translated as repentance, but that is far too small. Metanoia means a turning of the mind, a transformation so complete that the person who emerges can no longer recognize the one who began. Not improvement, not self-optimization, transformation. And it is rare because almost no one understands what it requires. The self is not a thing. It is a process. Heraclitus said that no man steps in the same river twice, because it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. People nod and miss the point. They believe they are a fixed object, a statue already carved, and that change means forcing that statue into a new shape against its will. But there is no statue. There is only the river. The self is not something you have. It is something you are doing continuously, in every choice, every reaction, every thought rehearsed until it runs by itself. You are not failing to change a fixed thing. You are repeating, faithfully, the very pattern you say you want to end. This brings us to the second error, the one almost everyone gets backwards. Identity does not precede action. Identity is made of it. Most people believe they must achieve the result before they have claimed the self. Once I lose the weight, then I will be disciplined. But Aristotle saw the truth of this 2000 years ago. We become just by doing just acts. He said, brave by doing brave acts, temperate by doing temperate acts. He called it hexis, the settled disposition built slowly by repeated action until it becomes second nature. You do not act from who you are. You become who you are by how you act. Character is not a gift. It is a sediment. The accumulated residue of 10,000 small choices, most of them invisible, none of them dramatic. William James put it more starkly. Every smallest act is counted and recorded by the nerve cells themselves. Nothing's ever lost. Every act leaves its scar. And so does every act of becoming. The reason transformation is so difficult is not that the new self is hard to build. It is that the old self does not want to die. Carl Jung understood that a person cannot become who they are meant to be without grieving who they were. The version of you that procrastinates, that numbs the hard evenings with the same old comfort, that stays small and safe and unseen, that self was not your enemy. It was a strategy. It protected you once when you had no better way to survive. To release it is to walk into the open without the armor that kept you alive. This is why people sabotage themselves at the precise moment they began to succeed. The promotion arrives and they start a fight at home. The goal is reached and quietly they undo it. It is not weakness, it is loyalty. A part of them defending the only self it knows how to keep alive, because the familiar misery feels safer than the unfamiliar good. This is the part the motivational world refuses to say. Transformation is not addition, it is loss. It is a death before it is a birth. Goethe called it die and become, and warned that until a person has grasped it, they remain only a troubled guest on the dark earth. There is no becoming someone new that does not pass through the death of someone old. Anyone who promises otherwise is selling comfort, not change. And yet, here is where the philosophy turns toward hope, where ancient wisdom and modern science meet. The brain is not fixed. The very pathways that make the old self feel automatic, inevitable, like destiny, were carved by nothing more than repetition. And that repetition built, repetition can rebuild. Every time a person acts as the one they intend to become, especially when every instinct pulls the other way, they are reshaping the architecture beneath their own thoughts. The discomfort is not the sign of failure, it is the sensation of a new self being built. As Marcus Aurelius left it in a single line, what stands in the way becomes the way. So, the question was never how to think your way into a new life. No one has ever thought their way into a new self. Thought is the old self talking. Transformation runs the other way, enacted one imperfect choice at a time. Nietzsche left the whole of it in 4 words: become who you are. Not invent a stranger, but become the self that was always latent inside the choices one was too afraid to make. To do that, a person must stop demanding that the past to be different and learn the hardest discipline of all, what Nietzsche called Amor fati, the love of one's fate. Not resignation, the fierce decision to take the exact life one has been given, with all its wounds, and build from it the one self that could only have been built from this. The person standing in the same place every January is not stuck for lack of strength. They are stuck because they have been waiting to feel like a different person before they will act like one. But the feeling never comes first, it comes last. That is the whole psychology of it. The old self does not lose in a single dramatic battle, it loses quietly, on an ordinary day. The moment a person stops asking whether they can become someone new, the self is a river, not a statue, changed not by wishing, but by the patient redirection of its course, one small and unwitnessed choice after another. And that day is never the 1st of January. It is always only today.